Welcome back, everybody. Andy's interstate again, so it's a bit of a low quality issue from us. But we're going to have a chat about game weeks, see what the head-to-head's looking like, and it's our final lot of action before a couple of weeks off. Here we go.
I think the 33-34 potential double or the 32-33 potential double would be a great time. If you can get your team looking like ready for both doubles, could be an amazing time to bench boost.
It's interesting you say that Salah breaking records is now the highest scoring FPL asset ever, even with 7 games to go. So it's just we started the season with Haaland's hat trick and the triple captain went on him, and then Salah was a bit slow to get going, and then since then it's just completely flipped the narrative.
Roll, please. For the first time this season, I have 3 free transfers. I have managed to save up transfer after transfer. So I would actually take a neg 4 and make 4 transfers this game week. What's up, team? Welcome to another episode of Two Friends. I'm interstate again, but that's okay. EPL continues. Sam, how are you going today?
Good, mate. We've interesting weekend. Good scores, bad scores, average scores. It's one of those weeks, isn't it? Really, it's kind of a planning for next week, kind of a week. So, yeah, it's been a week. How about you?
I'm quite chuffed with this week, actually. I feel like order is slowly being restored. Is this the start of another run by Andy? Maybe, or maybe not. We'll find out. But I will run through our results. I'm quite happy with this week's results, especially because I wasn't expecting it. So that's always a good surprise.
Well, let's not beat around the bush. Shall we get into it? Tell me how your week went.
Let's dive right into it. So here was my game week. So we've got Sells in goal with 8 points against Man City. Who would have thought? I have to play Sells because I've got no other goalkeeper. So for him to score 8 points, I am chuffed. Kanate with 2, which was a bit unfortunate. Cheeky Southampton goal. Burn with 5. I was not expecting that either. I did not expect Newcastle to keep a clean sheet away against West Ham. Munoz with 6. Oh, Munoz has been a gun this season. Palmer with 1. Mate, Palmer. He is, surprise, hint, he is going out of my team this week. I'm done with Palmer. Matoma with 2. Salah with 30 with the captaincy armband. This guy is just breaking all of the records. And Burma with 2. Kleiber with 5 with another return. Watkins with 9 coming through again, and Isaac with 2. And on the bench, I had Stolacek with 2, Wood with 2, Hoyson with 0, and Robinson with 0. So that gives me a total points of 72 points, which brings my overall rank to 108,000 or 109,000 rounding up. This is I think the lowest my rank has ever closed a week in, so I'm actually really excited. I know I started this season being like, if I can be in the top 250k, I'd be chuffed if I could beat last season. But I mean, if I'm this close to the top 100k, I would love to crack the top 100k. I don't know what's involved in doing that, but I would love to crack it.
Yeah. So moving forward, it's interesting you say that Salah breaking records is now the highest scoring FPL asset ever, even with 7 games to go. So it's just we started the season with Haaland's hat trick and the triple captain went on him, and then Salah was a bit slow to get going, and then since then it's just completely flipped the narrative, and Salah's just gone for it. And it's really been a case of if you were on Haaland and you went Haaland to Salah at the right time, you're leagues ahead of everyone else. And if you hung on to the robot, or you were slow to get on the Egyptian, you've lagged behind a little bit. So I think I was reasonably quick on picking up Salah, but obviously didn't have Haaland at the beginning, so that's kind of where my some of my issues came. But it does mean I got my triple captain still sitting in the bag there. But this is how I shook out. So 59, pretty average, but we had some red flags creeping in for me. Sales with 8, Trent with only the 2, Muno 6, Gabriel with 2. It's disappointing. Salah with 30, so kind of chuffed that I didn't go with the triple captain, but it would have been a good call had I gone there. In Burmo 2, Palmer 1, Neto 3, Dango with 1, Wissa 2, Isak 2. And Kirk is the only one on the bench returning anything with 4. So it's a bit of an average week. Kind of was, average on points. Didn't lose too much ground. I think I lost about 10,000 places, so still sitting at that 600,000, which is good for me. Obviously, we've if I just flick up here, we've that means that you won this week. Well done. So we are, that's how we're looking at the moment. So still sitting a little ahead, just waiting for you to try and catch up. But only one game in it again.
Yeah, it's becoming neck and neck again, which is what we like to see. So I'm sitting on the bed here, professional setup as you can see. That's why it's moving around. I try my best to stop moving. Hotel beds are always so soft. Anyway, beside the point, I like to see a neck and neck game because I find that makes it way more interesting. And I think game week 29 is going to be one where either it depends on how we both play it, because it could be quite pivotal. Because from your perspective, you're like, well, I don't want Andy to catch up, right? Because then our teams may look quite similar depending on what we do for the future game weeks, which will make it harder for any one of us to get an edge. Whereas from my perspective, I'm trying to capitalize on game week 29 because you have the injuries. I'm like, okay, how do we make the most of this?
Yeah. And I managed to hold last week and not make a transfer. So I do have the 2 free transfers going into this week, which I thought was important. And in hindsight, the changes that I would have made, the most likely ones kind of didn't pay off. With the people I was considering, they kind of came out with the same point, so I would have been worse off there. The only thing I thought about doing was getting on like a Nico Williams or a Milenkovic early, which would have paid out, but was there a risky one to do without playing City at the City ground? So decided to hold on to the transfer, get another week of information. Means I can make some realistic transfers. But like if we're just, it's kind of not shaken out the way that we wanted. Because if I'll just show you what my team before transfers looks like for next week, there's holes everywhere. So no bench, an injured Mateta, an injured Hall, and are not playing Trent along with Munoz, Isak, and Salah. So with the injuries that I've had kind of cropping in, I haven't been able to kind of follow my plan through, which is what I was going to do, moving some people around, and having like Mateta injured means it's harder to hold on to, which was going to be I was going to play 10-29, hold on to Mateta and Munoz, Trent and Salah, and then roll through. Salah and Isak and let Trent go. But like, that plan maybe has had to change a bit with the Mateta injury. Like, how long is he going to be out for? We know we've got a break coming up, so we've got game week 29. Then there's an international week. Then there's an FA Cup week, and then we're back into the Premier League. So there is a little bit of time there. But like we talked about last week, when we consider people like Raul Jimenez, when they've had a big whack to the head, like I know the injury to Mateta was completely different. It's a bit more of a gash and just an open wound. But sometimes players don't come back the same, so we can't expect Mateta to come back into the same kind of form. Maybe not come straight back into the team. Is it then a bit of a risk to hold him through 29? Maybe.
But you've got 3 free transfers, and you've got 6 players not playing, so all you are 2 free transfers. Yeah. But I think a neg 4 is worth it on a blank game week because that neg 4 only costs you 2 points, not 4. Assuming the person you bring in gets 2 points minimum, right? Yeah. Obviously, yellow cards, missed penalties can happen, but normally 2 points. A neg 4 only costs you 2 points, not 4. Yeah. So it'd be worth making that extra transfer and doing the 3 and fielding 11.
And that's
my view on it.
Yeah, and that's the consideration for this week, isn't it? Is what else can change? When are you playing a wild card? When are you playing your free hit? What that means for your team? How many people do you want game week 29 that you want game week 30? Are we like taking into consideration injuries and that kind of stuff as well? So I think in my situation, the way that I need to play this is to get out an 11 or 10 or about that in 29 and be open to playing the wild card for game week 30. If there's injuries come in, if FA Cup injuries creep in, by the time we get to game week 30, we'll know who's going to double in 32, 33, 34. So I'll have an idea of the right people to go into the team. It'll be a bit earlier than I wanted to, but if everything goes my way and you don't pick up injuries in the international break, don't pick up injuries in the FA Cup week, I think I've got an idea for a team that I can roll through to at least 33.
Would you free hit instead, roll the transfers, save your wild card, and have enough transfers to basically wild card next game week after 29?
Potentially, I think my preference would be to get through 29, get through with a decent team, like a team that I'm happy with, to 32, free hit in the big double game week in 33, 34, and then revert back to the team that I want. Because I don't think, looking forward at the doubles, I'm not sure there's going to be a whole mass of people that I want for the double and in my team. Like the double weekend kind of feels to be like there's some good doubles in there, but either side there's not fabulous fixtures. So I'd like to leave it there so that I can really attack that double and get people in that I might only want for 1 week. So, for example, if we're looking at Haaland, are we wanting to get him in for a double? Maybe not into the team to use up all that budget until then. Do we want to leave ourselves open so we can still get Saka when he comes back and that kind of people? So I'm thinking if I can leave my chips as long as possible, that gives me the best opportunity to jump later. So I think to answer your question, I think my preferred strategy would be nothing this week, decent-ish team for the next couple of weeks, free hit 33, 34, and then maybe wildcard into a bench boost.
It depends on which double as well, though, right? Because the 33 double with Newcastle and Crystal Palace, you already have Munoz. If you want Mateta, you're keeping Mateta, right? You already have Isaac, and you're probably going to have one of Livramento, Burn, and obviously not Hull again. So realistically, most people may be carrying 3 to 4 of those double game week players anyway, and they are decent players. As in, Isaac is one of those players that you're not transferring. Normally, people wouldn't be transferring him out because they've got so much value locked in him. A Newcastle defender at $4.4 million, which is like Burn, right, is super worth it. That's one of the cheapest defenders you can find, so there'd be no reason not to have him in your team unless you're needing to get him out for blank game week. Mateta's been on fire up until this recent injury.
Yeah.
So I could imagine people holding onto those players if they free hit 29, holding onto those players through to 33 double game week.
And that's one of the thoughts. And annoyingly and crazily, one of my thoughts that I'm working with is to take out a few players, including Mateta for 29, because he's not going to play. Bring in someone who is going to play, who has some good fixtures. And then I'm looking at moving Wissa back to Mateta in game week 30 if we know that he's back and he's playing.
Yeah. I mean, injuries through the FA Cup is one thing to consider, but then also, like you said, I think Saka is expected back. It got delayed. It was meant to be in March, but now it's been delayed to that first weekend of April, right? Where Saka's going to be back. But would you get Saka immediately when he comes back? I don't know if I would. As much as of a fan of Arsenal as I am, I would want to see him play again and to see, because Arsenal have been a bit toothless. Like Gabriel hasn't been the same since Saka hasn't been taking those corners. So I'd actually want to see them play a game and see him score again before I bring Saka back in. Don't get me wrong. I want to get rid of Palmer. I'd rather have Saka. It's just that I don't have the full confidence there right now. And it feels weird to not have a Arsenal player in my team, but man, we're playing FPL for the points and for the wins, right?
Yeah. And I think with your point on Saka, I think it kind of depends on what's going on with the title race. I think if you get to April and Arsenal are hanging in there and they need the wins, I think he gets pushed back in pretty quick because they're going to need that attempt. If it's all pretty much sewn up, I'd expect him to come back slower, come back stronger, and be ready for next year. But yeah, if Liverpool slip up a little bit, Arsenal managed to get some points on the board, and we're looking at a small margin. Liverpool and Arsenal still have to play each other. So you're gonna want to get Saka up to speed for that game. So I think if it's still in the balance and that game could be important, I'd expect to see him back in the team fairly quickly. But like I said, if it's it's gone, there's nothing we can do. Second place is locked in. I think you would see a slow transition back into the team.
I think, look, it's a bit too early to call it, but I think Liverpool have got this. Arsenal haven't been looking great.
Yeah.
And there's one thing to consider then. I know Salah wants to be breaking records, but is it worth continually playing him if Liverpool have got the Premier League in the bag? And if there's more rotation risk, does all of a sudden Salah he isn't like a shoo-in into our teams anymore because he's a massive rotation risk? There's no point playing him still.
That would completely come down to, for me, that comes down to his contract. Is he a Liverpool player at the end of the year? Is he going elsewhere? Has he signed a contract? Has he not? If he hasn't signed a contract anywhere, I would keep him because he's going to want to showcase what he is, who he is, and what he has left in the tank. If he's signed a contract with Liverpool, maybe you see a bit of a slow off, like when Liverpool won the title in the COVID season, they won it with 9 games to go. They lost 3 games in the last 7. So I probably would expect maybe something like that to happen once it's all sewn up. Celebrations start to happen. If he's going to go away to Saudi, Egypt, somewhere like that, I'd expect him to kind of keep some consistency because he's going to be a talisman in that league. So they're going to want to go look at his highlights from the last season. He's going to really want to make an impact. So I think it kind of depends on what we get told. I would expect maybe to start hearing a little bit of contract news towards the when the title's kind of looking like it's sewn up. I maybe expect to hear something. I probably think we'd find out what contracts for Trent, Van Dijk, and Salah. I think we will find out after either Liverpool get knocked out of the Champions League or after they play Real Madrid. They will not say that Trent has signed with Real Madrid until after that game has passed. So if the way it looks like in the current scheme of things, Liverpool and Real Madrid are on the bracket and they will play each other before the final. And I think Arsenal have got to go through Madrid as well at some point. So Madrid get knocked out, that's when it'll come out about contracts. Liverpool get knocked out, that's when it'll come out. Liverpool sign up the title, that's when it'll come out. So then we might have more of an idea about which players are on the beach, which players are we're still investing in. But yeah, that's really the point of the year when we become differential hunters. We go for those Everton Wolves who are trying to get out of relegation and start pulling results out of the bag from nowhere. The City Forest fighting for 3rd and 4th. Newcastle trying to get in the Champions League. Those are the teams we look for. And we kind of move away from our title winners and our already relegated teams and our mid-table people who can't really get anything. And our teams slowly kind of form into those 2 lots of players. Palmer, we might expect to leave teams pretty quickly if he starts to play in the European competitions and the league's gone for them. So, yeah, it's one of those, be careful with your wild card because if things get sewn up quickly, things could change fast.
Yeah, it sounds like it's reiterating my plan. I want to hold on to my wild card as long as possible. Now, my hand might be 4th, where we just don't have a choice. But yeah, I want to hold on to that wild card. Well, on that note, let's actually look at our teams for this week.
Sounds good.
So I'll show you how my team looks, but then I'll also show you what my transfer plans are for this week. I'm probably 80% sure of these being my transfer plans. So here's how my team currently looks. I've got Sells in goal, Robinson, Hoyce, and Kanate Burn. Kanate and Burn both blank. Palmer, Matoma, and Burmo Kluivert. Wood and Watkins blank. And on my bench, I've got no playing players. Solicic blanks. Isaac, Salah, Munoz, all blank. So that is my current team. So I'm in the same boat as you. I've got 6 players not playing. But How's this for a record being broken? Oh, this doesn't show. This doesn't show me. Hang on. I'll go to my transfer screen. Drum roll, please. For the first time this season, I have 3 free transfers. I have managed to save up transfer after transfer. So I would actually take a neg 4 and make 4 transfers this game week. So goal, I'm not touching it. There's 3 players I want to keep. Isaac, Salah, and Munoz. Burn, Kanate, and Watkins, I'm sending. So I'll keep Munoz. I'll play Robinson. I'm bringing in Milenkovic. I'm bringing in Vardiol, Hoyson, then Clivert, and Burmo, Matoma, Bowen, and then Haaland and Wood up front. So my transfers were Kanate for Milenkovic, Burn for Vardiol, Palmer out for Bowen, and then Watkins for Haaland. I did play around with Palmer out for Bruno Fernandes, but Bruno Fernandes, he's got a decent game week this. I know, massive troll, right? But he's got a decent game week this game week, but then their fixtures aren't that great afterwards. And I find West Ham's fixtures are better, and I want Haaland in. And to me, Vardiol, he's a bit of a differential at the moment. And if Man City do plan on having a double, then I'm already kind of ready for it. Yeah. So that's my team.
I think it's interesting because we've gone similar directions, but not. If I'll show you.
Talk to me.
I'll show you my
yeah.
thing. So we kind of looked at my team before. So this is the game week that I'm going to probably look at. So I've gone slightly different Trent to Nico Williams to a bit cheaper, and I've gone the Hall to Gvardiol, similar to yourself. I have also looking at doing Mateta to Chris Wood. So that'll be my 3 transfers with a -4, which gives me a playing 11, no one on the bench. Like semi-good fixtures. Ipswich is a good one for Wood. So he'd come in. I'd like the 2 Chelsea boys away at Arsenal is not stupendous. I think Wood would probably get the captaincy for this one. But this is kind of more, it's trying to just watch danger rather than anything. So from here, my plan would be to roll that into 30, and 30 would look like this. So I would bring in, at the moment I've got Evan Nielsen for Wissa, but I'm not set on that. So that could still go back to Mateta if he's back, because he would have the double. And then I would move out Neto for Eze, and I would move Dango to Semenyo, so just across to his counterpart. So that gives me, I think, quite a strong, the Kirkes and Evan Nielsen there playing Ipswich and aren't even on my team sheet. And then rolling to 31, kind of no changes, still strong everywhere. Again, that could be Mateta. And then 32 rolling into the double when I'd have Blooming app. Would have Munoz playing, Eze doubling, Isak doubling. And I don't feel it's probably one I want to get too invested in this time round. But then that leaves me with a good team, I think, going forward, and would allow me to put off the wild card for a few weeks until we kind of know what's going on.
So that app has Crystal Palace doubling twice in 2 game weeks.
Yeah,
did I see that right?
Yeah. So what is it? It's got is it's predicting. So let me show you the screen again. So you can see like this one here is a confirmed double game week, and then this one here is a potential. So there goes a 39% probability that is a double, and then that's a probable blank. I think that one there. So Yeah, so like see like Salahs are all green, they're all happening. Palmers are all happening, but all these ones, like this could be a potential double, and this one could be a potential blank.
Yeah, look, the free hits, the wild cards, and banking transfers is going to be so important because when you have a team double and a blank straight after, you're going to what if you have your full team dead ended into that double, you're going to want to free hit the blank, or vice versa, where you have your team ready for the blank, then you free hit the double, and between there, some point you're wanting to play the bench boost as well. I think the 33-34 potential double or the 32-33 potential double would be a great time. If you can get your team looking like ready for both doubles, could be an amazing time to bench boost. Because then you're playing a double game week full of players, and then if the rest of your bench players have good fixtures, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, this is going to be interesting. I agree with you though. Yeah.
So that's kind of my loose plan at the moment is to go through 29. So -4 this week and add -4 next week, pending or game week 30, which then leaves me having to make no transfers as long as things don't change. So I'd go 31, 32, no transfers. Probably I'm already kind of set for 32, so limited stuff I need to do there. If 33, depending on which one is the biggest one, 33, 34, I'm going to aim my team for the better double game week with players that I want to keep long term. Free hit the other one, which means that I then have still, if I'm just aiming for one, if I bench boost 30, if I free hit 33, can bench boost 34, vice versa. We look like we might get another double in 36. So kind of seeing who's going to double where, because I still have a triple captain to play as well. So if that's going to go into a double game week, that makes it difficult because I've now got a bench boost, a free hit, and a triple captain to play with potentially only 3 double game weeks. So are we looking at Isak when Newcastle haven't been fabulous? Or you take a punt on someone else? Do I wait for a bigger double and then risk having a bench boost sitting there? I think the wild card would be the one that went. If I was to not use a chip, it would be the wild card that I wouldn't use because that's the one that you don't get as much out of. But yeah, I'm so glad that I played my assistant manager chip earlier in the season because I'm running out of time to play chips.
Yeah, who would have thought that's the situation we're in? Oh my god, there's too many chips. I don't have enough game weeks to use all these chips. Right? Like, that's actually a good problem to have.
And something that now, considering it now, playing your assistant manager chip, if you were ready and stocked and didn't have to do anything in 29, playing your assistant manager chip over 29 could have brought you points that you were otherwise missing in your team. So if you were playing that and you were using your transfers on that, that could have been a good strategy, and that might be a good strategy for anyone who's still not played it. But probably now you haven't had enough time to set up. If you're sitting there and you've got 12 playing players and it looks fabulous for this week, maybe you could go ahead and play it. Because then you get 28, 29, 30, 31. You'll be back in for doubles, ready to go. But other than that, I think you're running out of time if you haven't played your system manager.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, well, before we wrap up, anything else of note? Because it sounds like we're in that same position where the only confirmed double is 33, right? Crystal Palace and Newcastle. We don't have
32.
any other confirmed doubles. 32.
Yeah.
So realistically, it's just wait and see. Still.
Yeah, I mean, next time we talk, don't know when that'll be, but if we might take a break next week for the international break, I reckon, make it a bit easier on us, like you do all your jet setting and get home and settled. And then we can touch base after the FA Cup final, FA Cup results. We know that we're going to know who's double. I'm going to know a bit more about it. We'll have 32 double, 33 double, maybe 34. A couple of weeks later, we'll have a 36. But for now, we've got a game week to go. It's a free hit week. It's a blank week. It's a whatever week you want. It's a tricky one to navigate, and it's one that doesn't really kind of say how our seasons are going. It's a bit of an odd one, but then we got a couple of weeks to sit and stew over our poor 29 performance, and then we're back into it, mate.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, best of luck, everyone watching, and best of luck, Sam.
Best of luck to you too. See you, everyone. Ta.
See you, mate. Bye.